an ever-changing world, Off Hollywood Media presents a voice of truth and inspiration, resonating a vibration of love and understanding, illuminating new paths for new directions, as we, as one, strive for higher and higher levels of consciousness, always remembering life changes. And now, your host, our MC, our master of change, Filippo Voltaggio.
Happy New Year, everybody. This is so exciting, 2010. It just seems like a couple years ago that we were talking about the year 2000. And here we are in 2010, a new decade, and we had a lunar eclipse and a full moon, and just an amazing time. I don't know about you all, but I feel the energy, and I was outside looking at the moon and seeing this big ring around the moon right at midnight on New Year's Eve, and it was a wonderful experience. Something's happening. I don't know if all of us feel it, but I know I do, and I'm excited to be part of it. And I'm excited, too, because this is our very first show in 2010, and we have Marci Shimoff on. And she, of course, has been known for her Chicken Soup for the Soul books, and she is now an author just on her own right with a couple books that we'll be talking about. And she also has a PBS show, and the list goes on and on. She's also a professional speaker and one of the nation's leading experts on happiness, success, and the law of attraction. She has inspired millions of people around the world and is dedicated to helping people live more empowered and joy-filled lives. And so I can't wait to bring her on. And it's interesting because as I was doing my research for the show and as I was thinking about the new year, how perfect is that Marci is on at the beginning of the year, because we're going to talk about happiness, and we're going to see if we can keep the happiness that some of us shared during the holidays, keep it going throughout the year and hopefully for the rest of our lives. And her book, Happy for No Reason, talks about just that. And as a kid, I used to be an observer. I used to love people. I still love people, but I used to observe, and every time my parents went out, I wanted them to take me with them to visit their friends, because I just used to listen and watch, and I was just fascinated by people. And it's interesting that as I grew older, I thought about this success concept, and I remembered a couple people that I thought, in my mind, could be maybe the two most successful people I knew. And I used to tell these people that I thought they were successful, and they didn't understand me. Then I grew up and started to tell my friends this story of how I thought they were successful, and they didn't understand what I meant by that. And let me tell you what I mean. My cousins grew up with a lady in the house who was a lady that came from Italy and didn't find a husband when she came, or didn't have a husband when she left. She was taken in by my uncle and aunt because she was a friend of the family, and so she worked in the home. She raised the two children, and she also had family, so she would work at their home and raise their children in different homes. She had about, I don't know, maybe 8 children that loved her, adored her, and because their parents were busy working, and this was part of the job that she took on, she did a really good job of pretty much raising about 8 kids of her own. But because she always thought she was supposed to be married, and she thought she was supposed to have children of her own, she never saw her life as successful. And she always said, I had the bad luck in the family. I had nothing to offer anybody, and I'm a loser. Those were the words she actually used in Italian, because she never learned English. But when we used to come visit, us kids, we used to look up to her too, and we loved her, and she'd cook for us, and we thought she was great. But she didn't have the same feeling, and she was not a happy person, which was really sad, because she made a lot of people happy. And then there was this other man who was just a simple fisherman, as he would say. I'm just a simple fisherman. But he was happy. He was happy all the time, and I thought, what's going on here? He was doing what he wanted to do. He was always out at sea, and when he wasn't at sea, he was actually fixing the nets, like sewing them. As a matter of fact, when he passed a few years ago, he was one of the last, if not the last, American fisherman known who actually still sewed the nets by hand and still knew how to do that. It's a lost art, but and it went with him. But he was so happy. He would spend hours doing that. He would do it alone and be happy. He would do it with his fisherman buddies, and then he'd get to cook his fish and eat his fish and share it with his family and friends, and he'd share the catch of the day. Then he'd go out fishing at night. He was surrounded by everything that he loved. And the interesting thing is that his wife used to tell him that he was supposed to do this and supposed to do that, and therefore, since he didn't, he was a bad husband. And his children used to tell him, do this for me and do that for me. And since he didn't, he was a bad father, according to them. And so he had this struggle, I could tell, going on, because he was happy as a clam, doing what he was doing and doing what he thought he needed to be doing. But as soon as he got into the quote-unquote real world, he was an absolute failure. And so I've reflected on this over the years, and as I was seeing that Marci was going to be on our show today, I remembered these two people, this lady and this man, who, for all intents and purposes in my eyes, could have been the two happiest and the two most successful people I knew growing up. And yet, in their eyes, and maybe in the eyes of the people around them, they were not. And so this is why I'm so... this is one of the reasons why Marci is such a perfect guest, because maybe we can talk about that too, along with all the other things that we talk about. Before we bring her on, I want to remind everybody that you're listening to Life Changes with Filippo, who is me, and this is our first show of the new year, and you're listening on the BBS Radio Network. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about Marci. She, of course, is an author, and her new book already is a runaway bestseller. Happy for No Reason. Isn't that a great title? 7 Steps to Being Happy from the Inside Out. Her book offers a revolutionary approach to lasting happiness. It soared to #1 on Amazon and many other national bestseller lists, and debuted at #2 on the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal bestseller lists. It has now been translated in 28 languages, and the paperback has just been released and is making another splash on the bestseller list. Marci is also the host of Happy for No Reason, the PBS special that has aired nationwide and is featured and is a featured teacher in the hit film The Secret, which is where I first came to know her. She is the woman's face of the biggest self-help book phenomenon in history. Her books, including Chicken Soup for the Woman's Soul and Chicken Soup for the Mother's Soul, have met with stunning success, selling more than 13 million copies. She's one of the best-selling female nonfiction authors of all time, and we have her on the show tonight. Please join me in welcoming to our show Marci Shimoff.
Thank you so much. I am delighted to be with you on this show tonight, and Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to everyone listening. And I've done, over 300 interviews in the last couple of years, and this is my first interview of the new decade. So I'm delighted that it gets to be with you.
Great. I only have one regret, and that's that we can't be doing it in person, because I was in San Francisco just last week, and I thought I'd get to stay and interview you, but at least we have you on the phone.
Yeah, that's second best.
Now, I know you were on, and thank you for holding while I was sharing my story about these two people. Does this happen a lot, where people look at their lives and say, I'm not successful, when other people look and say, you could be, and other people who are successful but aren't happy?
All the time. I have to tell you, one of the things that I did for my research for Happy for No Reason is I interviewed 100 unconditionally happy people.
Right.
People who are living in this state of what I call happy for no reason. I define as an inner state of peace and well-being that doesn't depend on your circumstances. And when I tried to find these 100 people, which, by the way, wasn't that easy to find 100 people who have this unconditional happiness. But I would go up to everybody I knew and I'd say, who's the happiest person you know? And inevitably some people would say, oh, it's John. He's the happiest person. And then they'd think for a minute and they'd say, well, you know what? John's the most successful, but he's really not very happy. And then they'd think again and they couldn't come up with anybody. So what's wrong, or what one of the problems in our society is that we've been trained to equate success with happiness. And there's really not a correlation in that just because you have success doesn't guarantee happiness. In fact, the research shows that 40% of the wealthiest people, the people on the Forbes wealthiest list, are more depressed than the average American.
Wow.
So our success, our outer success, does not have a bearing on our happiness level. Interestingly enough, though, however, they say our happiness does impact our success. The happier you are, the more successful you can be. So I say that we have it backwards in our society. We think that success is going to bring us happiness, but it's really the other way around. Happiness brings us success. People who are happier have been found to make about $1 million more over the course of their lifetime.
Wow.
So there's some fringe benefits of happiness. They also, actually, people who are happy also live longer. They live on average 9 years longer, and they have better relationships. They're 1/3 less likely to get sick. So there's some pretty good fringe benefits of being happy.
Well, Marci, we were talking earlier, you and I, and talking about my growing up Italian, and
yes.
you know, the Italians generally are happy people, but my father used to say, you know, what does happiness have to do with it? Like he'd say, do something, and I'd say, I don't want to. Why? Because it doesn't make me happy. What does happiness have to do with it? You know, that's a question that comes up a lot. It's like, you got to go make money, or you got to do this. What does happiness have to do with it?
Oh, God, I love that. I'm so glad you shared that little anecdote, because it's perfect. It's you know, Aristotle said that happiness is the goal of all goals. It's the be-all and end-all of life. It's the reason that we do anything. If you ask yourself, you know, everybody probably, a lot of people made a list maybe of New Year's resolutions and of goals for the new year. If you ask yourself all of those goals that you have on your list of goals, why do you want that? Ultimately, the answer will come down to, I want that because I think it will make me happy. Happiness is the bottom line. Well, here's the good news. We can cut to the chase. We can go directly for the happiness. We don't have to get those things in order to be happy. You know, most people live in this myth of I'll be happy when.
Right.
It's I'll be happy when I get a better job, or I'll be happy when I find a better husband, or I'll be happy when I lose 20 pounds. And it's not true. But if you go for the happiness first, the other things will more easily come to you. And why is it important? It's important because actually the purpose of our life is to expand our happiness. Our real happiness, not our sense of pleasure, but our real core happiness, that sense of inner peace and well-being. That is, I think there are two purposes of life. And it's been said, there are many stories told about how at the end of our life, we're asked two questions. It's my mentor Jack Canfield likes to tease about it. It's like we have a final exam at the end of life, and at the end of life we're asked these two questions, and they are: how much did you grow in your ability to love, and how much did you learn and expand in your happiness? So that's why it's important. We can answer your father's question that way.
Well, he's actually on the other side now, and he knows better than all of us at this
point.
But,
that's right.
I hope and trust. And you know, that's interesting because I and so many of us have read people's last requests or last regrets or dying words and all of that. And of course, it's never about the money. I wish I could have made more money, or I wish I could have worked harder. It was, I wish I would have spent more time with my family. I wish I could have been happier, kind of thing. And yet, when we measure our lives, and when we could walk out of that conversation and say, yeah, but I got to go make money.
Yeah, I know. It's hard because we're so trained. It's very much the myths of our society, the myth of more. The more I have, the happier I'll be. We're misdirected. But let me just share with you something that I think, to me, when I did all of the research about happiness, this was the most exciting thing that I discovered. And I think that it's really an important piece for everybody to understand, and that is that we all have what's called a happiness set point. And no matter what happens to us, whether good or bad, we will return to our original happiness set point. We will hover around our original happiness set point. Let me give you 2 quick examples of that. People who won the lottery. They're happier for a short while, but within a year, they have returned to their original happiness set point. Now, shockingly, the same is true of people who've become paraplegic. Within a year, they have also returned to their original happiness set point. So it wasn't the outer circumstances that affected their life, but instead it was their set point. That was the key to their happiness. And so you ask, well, am I just stuck with my happiness set point? And the good news is, no, we can change our happiness set point. The happiness set point is 50% genetic. You're born with that. And the other 50% is learned. It's based on your habits of thoughts and behavior. And that's what we can do something about to raise our happiness level in life. It's like raising your thermostat, your happiness thermostat. And I found that there are 21 main happiness habits that anyone can practice to raise their happiness set point. So what better thing is there to do in the new year than to make a resolution to raise your happiness set point? Because it's the one thing that affects everything.
Yeah, I was just about to say I want to get into these 7 steps that you mentioned in the book, Happy for No Reason. And but before we do, it is the new year, and you mentioned that I know you did something really special for the new year, and I just thought it'd be great if you could share, because we're still in the first couple of days. We might want to do this too.
Well, I felt very moved this year to create a theme for my year. And interestingly enough, I was on a spiritual retreat at the end of the year. I like to bring in every new year with some kind of a spiritual something. And I went on a spiritual retreat, and it turned out that the other people that were on the retreat, too, had also, on their own, just all decided to create a theme for the year. And I love this idea. So my year is the year of love. And I don't mean specifically romantic love. I mean, it is my year of just feeling a state of unconditional love. Love for myself, love for the people around me, love for Mother Earth, just to live in that state of compassion, loving kindness, care, forgiveness, love. And the other people that I was with, one person picked faith, that it's her year of faith. Another person picked that it was his year of purpose. So I think it's really nice to connect in with your soul's longing, your soul's calling, to see what it is that's singing to you, that's calling to you for this year to be born, and to title your year that way. And actually, tomorrow I've set aside the day to do a vision board process, both for a personal vision board for me and then a vision board for my business. And at the top, I'm going to have the year of love on both of those boards and have everything come back to that as the ultimate, the underlying theme for everything. So that's just a suggestion I offer to anybody who feels drawn to that.
I like that, and I almost like that better than resolution, and not that there's anything wrong with resolutions, but setting a theme almost seems not only more gentle, but it's almost as if it's an overall feeling. It's not just, I've got to do this.
It's not a to-do list. And I think, everything in the universe is energy, and certainly the scientists are now saying that, and everybody in the personal growth and transformation area is saying that. So everything is energy, and everything runs on energetic vibration. And so what you're really doing by setting a theme for the year is you're setting your energetic vibration for the year. It's what is the energetic vibration that I want to live in. This could be your year of happiness. This could be your year of vital health. Whatever it is, it's setting that underlying energetic vibration that will run through and guide and inform your to-do lists and your resolutions. And I'm not against having resolutions, but I think that if you have that underlying energy behind it, then it's more powerful and more inspiring.
Marci, I have to laugh because going back to that Italian thing, when whenever there were times that we used to laugh for no reason.
Ooh, I love that. Laughing for no reason. That's going to be my next book.
No, I already know what your next book is.
Yes. I'll tell everyone, since I just said that my theme of the year is love. My next book that I'm working on right now is called Love for No Reason.
Right. I love that, and we'll have to get into that.
Yeah, so tell me about the Italian family and laughing for no reason.
Well, my grandmother used to say, "What are you, an idiot? Laughing for no reason?" I'm laughing because I think it's funny now. At the time, I didn't understand it, and I just used to laugh anyway. And then after, it might have sunk in, but now I'm coming back saying that's funny. What's funny is the fact that we don't realize, or they didn't realize, or she didn't, how important it is to laugh for no reason. And now here you're saying be happy for no reason, and it's so perfect.
Yeah, well, it's a new paradigm, and we need this new paradigm for the age for what we're in. I mean, clearly we're facing crisis in our world, in our life, and the way we've been living has been off balance, I don't think in alignment with the best and highest ways that will serve us. And so I think that we're moving into an age where there is a new paradigm, and the new paradigm is this idea of love, happiness, laughter, all of those things for no reason, just innately because you're living in that energetic vibration.
Well, I've taken many courses over the years between acting and singing and all that, and I took a comedy course once, and I remember a Jewish comedian saying one of the reasons why you have so many Jewish Americans that are so funny is because they grew up learning to laugh instead of crying.
Yes. I think that that's very true. And of course, the healthiest way to laugh is when you've also done your healing and crying, too. When you've done them both.
Well, is that the healthiest way to be happy, or can being happy get you there?
Well, that's a really good question. I definitely am not of the school of denial. There are a lot of people that say, just decide to be happy. And you can no more decide to be happy and wake up tomorrow morning happy than you could decide to be a great piano player and wake up tomorrow morning a great pianist. You actually have to practice habits to be a good piano player. In the same way you've got to practice habits to be a happy person. There are certain habits that allow people to be happy. And that's what I talk about in Happy for No Reason. What are those habits? And they fall into 7 main categories. And I'll just really quickly go through those categories.
Yes, please.
They have to do with your mind, your thoughts. I call that section, don't believe everything you think. You've got to change your thought patterns. The second area has to do with your heart or your feelings. And I call that section, let love lead in your life. And then the third area has to do with your body. You've got to make the cells in your body happy. You've got to create the physiology of happiness so that you've got these happy chemicals, these happy juices flowing through your body all the time. The fourth area is the area of spirit. You've got to plug into spirit and feel that connection to a greater energy in the universe. The fifth area is the area of purpose or passion in life, and it's about living an inspired life, a life that's really on fire, on purpose, on passion. The sixth area is the area of our relationships, and it's about surrounding ourselves with a support network with people who are happy, surrounding ourselves with nourishing relationships. And then the seventh area has to do with taking full responsibility in our lives, taking ownership of our happiness, showing up as a creator of your life rather than as a victim. And so I talk about different habits in each of those 7 areas and how you can develop those different habits. By the way, people sometimes when they hear that, they go, oh, my God, this is too much to do. Well, there's only one habit to do at a time. There's no way that you can learn, I've got, as I say, 21 habits. You only do one at a time, and you practice that one until that one feels like it's really settled in, and then you pick another habit, and you practice that. And so that way you very simply, but quite quickly, actually can raise your happiness set point. I've gotten letters from people from around the world saying, I can't believe this. I've just been doing this for a month now, and I feel like I'm a different person.
Wow. Well, I don't know how much you share of your personal life. We were talking about.
I'm happy to share anything from my personal life. You
Wow,
name it, I'll share it.
You're even more incredible than I thought you were. I wasn't going to get that personal, but I remember when I met you, you were with Sergio, your husband at the time, and we had taken a picture together, and I was mentioning to you earlier tonight how I was going to send you the picture, but then I found out that you were no longer with him, and you were just so genuine. You say, "Oh no, we're very amicable. It's fine, not to worry." And I thought, wow, that we can come to this. I mean, you're obviously living what you're saying.
I have to say this, and I'm so happy to share all of this. I was not happy from the get-go at birth. I didn't win the happiness lottery at birth. And I wrote Happy for No Reason because it was my own personal quest to really, it's what I wanted most in life. I'd say when I was growing up, I would have given myself a D+. If you were grading me in happiness, I would have been almost failing. I would have gotten a D+. I'd say now I'm an A to an A-. And I was tested in that in this last year or so. I was married to Sergio for 10 years. We were together for 10 years. And in many ways, it was a wonderful relationship. But both of us, about a year ago, came to realize that out of our great commitment and love for each other, it was not the best relationship to serve us both. It really wasn't the best relationship for our greatest growth and happiness. And so we both mutually decided to set each other free to live the life that we felt we were more destined to live. And so we're very, very supportive and loving to each other. And we, I would say it's about as much of an enlightened divorce as I've ever seen. Yeah. And in the midst of that, I was able to stay happy for no reason. And that doesn't mean that there wasn't grief or sadness. Of course, you can experience those things, but there's an underlying feeling of peace and well-being. And I'm happy to report, and I don't say this in a gloating way. I hope it doesn't come across that way, but this thing is for real. I mean, I've spent the last 10 years, really, really deeply researching this and practicing all the habits that I write about, and the stuff works. And when I start to feel something that is a little off, I go to one of these tools that I have. There are 21 tools that I found. They're not my tools. They're ones that I've gone out and found the best of the best, I think, and I just use them, and they work. So I'm really, really happy to report that it can work even in difficult situations and in the midst of change. So
I'm getting that. I'm getting that from you, and it's so powerful to hear. And like I said, you said this off the air, and you said it to me. It wasn't as if you were saying it publicly, and now you are. But it wasn't, So if there was an issue, you would have said, "Oh, I don't want to talk about that," or "Oh, yeah, we don't talk about him." So you were obviously being sincere, and it's just a beautiful thing. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I was so inspired by these people that I interviewed. I mean, I interviewed one woman. Imagine this. She was a 34-year-old woman. She was a nurse, and she thought she was pretty happy. She was coming home from work one day from the hospital where she worked, and her eyes were a little bit sore, so she stopped at the corner drugstore and picked up some eye drops, went home, put the eye drops in her eyes, and immediately felt a searing pain, and within 20 minutes was rushed back to the hospital and was declared legally blind.
Oh, my goodness.
She had put in eye drops that had been laced with lye. And she just went into the horrible depression and just, oh my God, what's going to be of my life? And after about 9 months of really being in this woe is me state, she woke up one morning and she said, she fast forwarded her life 30 years, and she said, what happens if I continue living in this way for the next 30 years? And she said, oh my God, that is not a pretty picture. And she decided that even though this thing had happened to her, it was up to her to find a way to make her life meaningful, happy, joyful. And she rolled over in bed and picked up the phone and called Guide Dogs for the Blind, and got a guide dog, got enrolled in their program. Now, I think it's almost 20 years later, She is the volunteer coordinator for the Guide Dogs for the Blind, I think nationally. She's a world champion rower. She was on the Paralympic rowing team. She is one of the absolute happiest people I have ever met in my life. And she said that although she lost her eyesight, her vision is even greater now.
Oh, wow. Wow.
She can make her life happy.
That's an amazing story. That really is. And you know, all this talk about happiness, and it begs the question about selfishness. And
great question.
And I have to ask it in a different way than you might have ever been asked this before. But, you know, I've said to people, there are certain people that when they do something, they're the only ones they do it for, even if they're doing it for them. And then there are other people that when they do it for themselves, whatever it is, it ends up being good for everybody else. And so I'm thinking as I'm going over your material here that happiness, if there are some people that if they're happy for themselves, they're just happy for themselves. But other people, that when they're happy for themselves, they're happy for everybody. So what's the difference? I'm getting a feeling that the first person who's just happy for themselves maybe isn't really happy.
I think you're right. I think that whatever we are is what we exude. It's what we give. And if you're truly, genuinely happy, the people around you can't help but feel that, can't help but experience that. And so I think the first, the one that you said is just happy for themselves and not other people, it's not possible. If someone's truly happy, it just overflows out of them naturally. And it may sound a little bit like a platitude, but really it's not. There's scientific evidence behind this. There's this thing called emotional contagion that shows that we catch the emotions of the people around us just like we catch their colds. And they say that we become the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with.
Oh.
So one thing that I suggest that people do is they make a list of the 5 people that they hang out with the most.
And get rid of them.
And, well, you just evaluate and you see, okay, who do I want to catch these people's emotions?
Wow.
And if, in fact, you don't, then maybe you want to spend a little less time with them, and maybe you want to build up a little the list of the people whose emotions you do want to catch. But also recognize you are constantly spreading your emotions to people. And I think that wanting to be happy is the least selfish thing that you could possibly do on the planet. That when you are happy, you are that energy is spreading to the people around you, and ultimately, I think it's the greatest thing we can do for the planet. You know, there's this beautiful Chinese proverb that I love to share, and it goes like this. It says, when there is light in the soul, there will be beauty in the person. When there is beauty in the person, there will be harmony in the house. When there is harmony in the house, there will be order in the nation. And when there is order in the nation, there will be peace in the world. And my prayer and my wish that every single one of us feels that light in our own soul, feels that happiness in our own lives, and through that we create peace here on this planet of ours.
Wow. That is so great. I want to remind everybody that they're listening to Life Changes Radio with their host, Filippo, and we've got Marci Shimoff with us on this 2010 first show of the year, and we're talking about happiness and her new book, Happy for No Reason, that has made all the bestseller lists, and she's got another book. When is your Love for No Reason book coming out?
It's coming out January of 2011, so 1 year from right now. A year from now, Filippo, we'll be talking about love for no reason.
I love it. I love it, and I can't wait to be talking about other things throughout the year, too. You know, there's so much that's going on that's bringing so much happiness to so many people, and I'm so happy that you're out there doing this. Do you consider yourself one of these happy 100?
I do now.
Great.
I definitely do. I would say that I've really learned a lot. I've put these principles into practice, and I really I wake up in the morning happy, and I go to bed at night happy, and pretty much in between I'm happy. And that doesn't mean everything is rosy. It doesn't mean the things are exactly the way I want them to be. See, that's the thing. It's not that everything is perfect in our life. It's that we feel good no matter what. You know, I say that people are happy for no reason. It's not that they're looking to extract their happiness from their life experiences, but instead they're bringing their happiness to their life experiences.
You know, Marci, it's been the holidays and this and that, and I have not had a chance to read your book, but I am so looking forward to reading it, because I think I'm one of these people that if you asked any of my friends who I don't know about the happiest, but who a happy person in their life is, I'm quite sure they would all say me.
Oh, well, then I need to be interviewing you.
Well, no, but this is the piece of it that I want to share with you is I don't see myself as that happy, and I think maybe I'm falling into one of the myths that you talk about.
Well, you know what? I have an assessment in Happy for No Reason, and it's the Happy for No Reason self-assessment. You can see where you fall on the Happy for No Reason scale, and in fact, if people want to go to the website, you can take that assessment on my website, which is happyfornoreason.com. You can take the assessment there for free and see where you are on the Happy for No Reason continuum or scale, and I think it's really important for everybody to take a look in their own life. And you may be happy in one area, but there might be some other area that needs some work. It may be that you need to work on creating more happiness in the cells of your body, or it may need to be that some people need to not believe everything they think, to work on their mind. So there are various angles to come at it from, and I think that especially at the new year, it's a great time to make happiness one of the things you're committed to, one of your intentions for the new year. Absolutely.
It is the theme of my year, thanks to you.
Oh, yay!
I'd like, if you would, give me one thing that could get me. You've given us so much already.
Okay.
But as we leave the audience, I want everybody to have this one thing.
May I tell a quick story that will lead you to the one thing?
By all means.
Okay.
I love listening to you.
This is a story about one of the women that I interviewed for the book. Her name is CJ, and CJ had been very depressed. She'd had lupus for about 15 years, which is an autoimmune disorder. It causes lots of problems, discomfort, physical pain. She got around very often in a wheelchair, and she was pretty miserable. She heard about a very simple practice of wishing other people happiness and well-being. It's called a metta meditation practice, or a loving kindness meditation practice. And at first she thought to herself, how could I possibly wish other people happiness and health when I don't have that myself? But she figured that she had nothing to lose, so she gave it a try. And here's how the practice went. Every day, she would silently, in her heart, send a wish of happiness, health, and well-being to everybody she would see. This was her wish. It went, may you be safe, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease. May you be safe, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease. She silently beamed that wish from her heart to everybody else she'd see, her friends, her neighbors. Even as she'd be driving down the highway and she'd look in a car and there'd be some grumpy person in a car next to her, she would silently send them that wish. She did that every day for a year. Now, I can't tell you what happened to the people that she sent the wish to, but here's what happened to her. Her happiness level skyrocketed. She's out of the wheelchair. She's exercising 3 days a week. She's completely symptom-free. And the doctors tell her that it's a medical miracle. The only thing that she did differently was to silently send this wish of happiness and health to everybody she'd see.
Wow.
Now, I can't tell you that that's going to work for you. I can't guarantee that. But what I can suggest is that you use your own life as an experiment. And you give these things a try. Be a skeptic, but be open, and give it a try in your own life and see what happens for you. I've had people come back to me and say that simple little exercise has really done wonders for them in just a few short weeks. So that could be one place to start. May you be safe, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease.
Wow. Well, what a beautiful thing. It sounds to me, amongst other things, that if you're giving that out, then some of that's got to stay with you.
Well, that's the thing, and you're not even giving it out loud. By wishing that to others, you're putting yourself in that state yourself, and it's changing your own physiology, and it's changing your own energetic field, it's changing your own mental thought patterns. So it's not even about that. It's about where are you putting your attention, and where are you putting your energy, and where are you putting your thoughts.
Wow. Well, Marci, you are a delight. And I am so happy for many reasons to have had you on the show today. We're talking to Marci Shimoff with the book Happy for No Reason at happyfornoreason.com. What a great website name that is. And you've got on there, I'm looking at it, so many great things for people to learn from. You've got a whole coursework that people can... How long does it take to go through the course, technically?
Well, the course is a 7-week program, but you can do it at your own pace. You can do it faster, slower if you like. I also have a free online email, e-zine.
Did we lose you? Hello? Did we lose me? Seth, are we on? I'm not sure if we lost Marci or if we lost the connection to the radio show. I hope not. We were having such a good time. Let's see. Let's see what's going on here. How do I find out?
It's on.
Okay, it's still going? Okay. Well, isn't that exciting? This live radio. This is so exciting. You know, I've always said that it's a very different experience than like when you go to a play. You expect some problems to happen. Otherwise, how do you know it's live? So the same thing with radio, I guess. Now you really know it's live. So anyway, we have lost Marci temporarily. I hope we get to get her back so we could say thank you and remind everybody that her website is happyfornoreason.com, the same title as the book. And she has been such a wonderful guest, and we enjoyed having her. I hope we get her back. But until then, why don't we do this? Let's bring Dorothy on for the State of the Universe address, and then we'll see if we can at least get Marci on for a quick goodbye to everybody. But if we don't get her, if you missed any of what she had to say from the very beginning, do come back and hear the show on our website at www.lifechanges.ws, and you can hear the archives in just a few days. So with that, let's bring Dorothy on for the State of the Universe address.
Hi. Every year at this time, we are at the climax of our collective consciousness and are beginning the co-creation of a new year. The holiday season has us all focused on it, so it is a time of great collective power, which we can use to remember who, what, and why we are here. The answer is so simple: love. So tonight I will share with you a fairy tale by Angelique to help remind us of who we truly are. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful paradise. You could see all the stars and clouds, and they told stories of triumph and truth. The wind whispered melodies of harmony, and the light of the sun filled our hearts with the warmth of love. All we needed was at our feet, and nature guided us to all the goodness the paradise had to offer. The sunset and sunrise, the seasons and the butterflies showed us the cycles of positive and negative, and the path of life was sometimes hard only to show us the reflection of goodness. All of everything was entwined with everything, and a symphony of energy that surrounded every single thing in the universe was like a perfect dance. But as the universe did this magical dance, it realized that there was no one there to see all of its beautiful perfection. So one day, as was completely natural in the course of evolution, the universe created its ultimate self, something that contained everything of the universe, but could enjoy it in a physical form. And so one by one, the stars took turns incarnating into physical beings to come and bask in the splendorous wonders of the universe, which they knew they were. It was the time the perfect beings reflected the entire universe within and had all their divine powers awake. These beings could use telepathy to communicate like dolphins, and using only their soul energy, or their mind's eye, they could fly like birds and travel all over the universe. But all the while, in the human body, they could also experience the ultimate truth together, and that was pure love. Love was the pure energy that gave them everything they needed. There was no hate, jealousy, greed, or anger, because everyone had everything they needed, and in perfect balance. Everyone shared and made sure everyone else was happy. It was a beautiful paradise. This was humankind at its most highly evolved. We neither needed nor wanted for anything at all, except to live a life full of love, light, and harmony. We accepted the yin and the yang. We knew there was no such thing as death because all of this energy never dissipates. It has always been and always shall be. We knew that nature told us the truth, and we knew the rhythms of life. We didn't fear death, but celebrated it. We were awake and we knew it was as natural as being born. In fact, it was the same thing. One day, though, a natural disaster happened that threw things out of balance. A huge meteor hit the earth, and many of the beings were killed. It was fine for them because their souls fell into the grand divine, but some were still left in the paradise and seemed to get afflicted with some sort of amnesia. Maybe it was the imbalance in the atmosphere or the overwhelming destruction. But while some remembered, there were those who forgot that we were spiritual creatures having a physical experience, that our souls were really the power within us, and that what united us with everything, that the body was just a temporary state, and they began to know something they had never known before, fear. And the fear was a new element that even the universe had never known before. There was no other creature in the universe that had ever known fear. And so with this new element that the beings themselves had created, life was out of balance with the perfection of the universe. And because most of the beings had forgotten or fallen into a sleep-like state, the fear enveloped them and became the beings we are today. But still, there were the ones who remembered, and they tried to make the ones with fear recall what they really were. Many great teachers have come and gone with the message. All these messengers are so important in our history. Why? Because ultimate truth is divine and within every one of us, because it is big and so powerful and all-knowing. For some reason, many of us fear this, but the truth is, it is our divine right. It is natural. It is our nature. And the fear has put some of us asleep. Every year we get to the holiday season, which is meant to celebrate one of the greatest teachers, to remind us of our true nature. But the ones in fear used it to manipulate and control the masses. Many of the great teachers have tried to impress upon us that we are one, that we are the reflection of God, the universe, and within us lay the greatest powers. We can be so impressed with the latest technological devices, but these are so simple and don't even compare to the true nature of our capabilities. They are only futile attempts to control our basic truths. We are capable of so much more. And all this reality we created is simply a cage to blind you from seeing the ultimate truth. If you don't remember, then of course a shiny new car or a plasma screen TV would seem impressive. But all modern technology is coming from us. These are our creations, and they just keep becoming more and more impressive to those who think that this is reality. But the truth is, if we are beings that can fly and communicate all around the globe, if we are inventions, if these are inventions we created, where do you think they came from? These are our natural abilities we have forgotten. And in trying to remember, we keep creating more and more sophisticated physical ways to replicate what we can already do with our souls. But when the fear arrived, it also made us fear ourselves because of our greatness. Why do you think so many people have fear of success? Because our greatness is so overwhelmingly beautiful, it seems so powerful that it can seem frightening. More and more, the message is forgotten. We think money or material items are more important than the incredible gift that we are. And because human beings are made of two things, soul and physical. The fear makes us easily conscious of the physical and hides our own truth from us. And the ones asleep who don't really know better decided what physical and material was the real truth. So the battle of good, light, love, harmony, and evil, money, greed, jealousy, envy, began. But there's no such thing as evil. We made it all up, and we can also make it go away if we simply realize and remember who we really are. We are the stars. We are the sun. We are the galaxies. We are God incarnate as human beings. We are perfect beings that reflect the universe in our hearts and souls. And if we can remember and wake up from the sleep that puts so many of us under this illusion, then we can know again who we really are. Until next week, please remember that you are indeed the power in your world. You're the guru you've been waiting for. Choose to become a very conscious co-creator by making elegant choices. And never forget that you are powerful beyond measure and that you are love, you are lovable, and you are loved.
Thank you, Dorothy, for that State of the Universe address, which is so appropriate for the beginning of the new year. And I think we have Marci back on. Is that true?
I am here.
Oh, Marci, we were talking to you, of course, about your new book, Happy for No Reason, and then we lost you there, and I was so happy talking to you, and then I got sad because you were gone, and I thought, wait a minute, there's a lesson here. Tell me what it is.
So you learned very quickly, very, very quickly.
And so I'm happy to see that you've returned. We were coming to the close, and I gave everybody your website, and I will give it to them again and all, but you were saying some wonderful things in closing out our wonderful conversation here. But why don't we take a couple more minutes and say something else beautiful?
Well, okay. I have to say that I'm celebrating what I see in the world of the changes. As I mentioned earlier, I'm getting letters from everywhere, emails from everywhere, just people really recognizing how there's a change on the planet right now. And I think that probably everybody's listening to this knows what we're talking about to some degree. And I think that, there's this great little quote that starts off Happy for No Reason, and it says, "This joy that I have, the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away." That's really the joy that I think is each of our birthright. It's the truth of who we are. It's our essence, and that's what I wish to everyone.
So the next time somebody asks me, you look like you're happy for no reason, and I could say, yes, I am, and proud of it.
All right. That sounds great.
Well,
I love that.
Well, I just loved everything that we talked about. I know it helped me, and so I know it'll help many people. You have obviously been through so much, and the fact that you can be so open and honest about it really does show that you really have turned a corner. Because if you say that you grew up a certain way and for the past 10 years have been a certain way, and now you could talk about it in the way that you have, you really are living your words.
Well, thank you. I'm very inspired by so many people who are also living in this way, and I think that if you keep your eyes open for experiences of happy for no reason and for people who are happy for no reason, you'll be amazed at what you find.
Well, we have so happy that we kept our eyes and ears open and found you and asked you to be on the show, and you were so delightful to say yes, and we've been happy to have you here, and want to remind everybody that the book is called Happy for No Reason, and you can find it in all the stores because it's been on all the bestseller lists, at the very top of them, as a matter of fact. And of course, to learn more about the book, you could just Google Marci, or you could find her on our website, but you can go directly to the source and find her at happyfornoreason.com. And with that, Marci, I bid you a happy new year, and thank you again for being on the show.
And happiness to you, and a miraculous year for everyone who's listening. Thank you.
Thank you. So wonderful having her on, and I can't wait to chat with her again. And we look forward to our next week's guest, who is Dr. David Simon, and his book, Free to Love, Free to Heal. Heal your body by healing your emotions. And this theme about emotions keeps coming up. So Marci was on it with the happiness and focusing on that. And it seems like Dr. David Simon will be talking about listening to our body and loving our body. So can't wait to talk to him next week. In the meantime, that's our show. And along with thanking Marci, I also thank you all for being part of us all throughout 2009 and starting 2010 with us. Remember, we can keep the conversation going during the week by visiting us on our website and writing us on Facebook or direct emails. We love to get those and respond as often as we can. And also you can go to our fan page, Life Changes with Filippo, it's called at the moment, on Facebook as well. Today's show has been made possible in part by our sponsors, IonWays Water Systems, Change Your Water, Change Your Life, and Love and Miracles. And to learn more about them, visit our sponsor page on our website and click on their respective links. I am Filippo Voltaggio, and it has been my pleasure being of service by hosting Life Changes and this very first show of 2010. I, along with our segment host Dorothy Lee and producer Mark Lejeune, and finally our engineer Seth, thank you for joining us in being part of this show and being part of the change we all wish to see in the world. Ciao, everyone.
You have been listening to Life Changes. Join us here every Monday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and visit us on the web at lifechangeswithfilippo.com. That's Filippo, Filippo. And follow our community on Facebook at Life Changes with Filippo. Join us here next week as we consciously embrace and explore the only constant, life changes.